I think you really need to trust in yourself, even if everyone else is going a different direction, even if lots of people think what you're doing is crazy, or maybe they don't like it. If you feel strongly about it, like at some point, especially in this world now where everyone in the world is connected, there's like what, 7 billion people, someone's got to be into the thing you're doing. So if you keep like diving in, if you really believe that's you and that's what you want, if you keep diving in harder and harder and harder and just fake the confidence, even if you're not feeling it all the time, someone is going to come and be like, oh, that's my thing too, or like I'm into that, or I want that product, or like I want to book you, or whatever.
Hey, let's start the show.
It's a work in progress, baby. Work in progress. We're working, we're progressing. Maybe not so much, maybe not so fast, but we're doing our best. Okay. You were like, no, stop.
No, I was gonna let you keep going. I was like, yeah, let's drop the beat so she could just. Are there still jingle people out there?
I hope so, because I hope to one day become a jingle person.
Yeah. How do you get into that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess like, is it voiceover people who also can sing? Like, I don't know how you do that. Or songwriters who like don't like long songs, or like 10 seconds. That's where I'm at.
It's like the one line joke person of music. Yeah. All right, I got this new joint I want to drop real quick. So about 15 seconds. Here we go. And cut.
Like, so Jonathan, I think you might be more of like a jingle writer. Like, no, I'm not working for the man.
I'm an artist, yo.
Yeah.
Just writing these jingles because that's what I love.
I remember jingles from when I was like 5 years old.
Absolutely.
Like, I love jingles.
There was something, I forget what commercial was on the other day, but it was clear that this commercial had a jingle. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a lot of commercials now don't necessarily have that. And I'm okay with it. But every time I hear a song, you're like, oh, they put an effort, and they like hired a person with a keyboard with sort of a space age filter, Sith, whatever it's called. And they wrote.
Yeah.
Exactly. They wrote a jingle.
I have so much respect for that, because even if a jingle is bad, if it's an earworm and it gets in there, you will remember it forever.
It's forever.
Forever. And it could just be something so simple, but like it gets you. And I love that stuff.
I feel the other thing that are jingle adjacent, you may actually think they're the same thing, but TV shows, especially cartoons, I think like the cartoons we grew up on, had amazing intro music.
Theme songs and music. Theme songs, yes. Like Full House and like Growing Pains. What was it? Growing Pains?
Maybe. Growing Pains, Step by Step.
Who's the Boss?
Yeah.
What was the Urkel one, you know?
Family Matters. Right.
They all had good,
DuckTales, Tailspin, Darkwing Duck, Gummy Bears. Like they were
bouncing here and there and everywhere.
Clearly, I don't remember.
We are the Gummy Bears.
That was some guy shows up to an open mic music night. And they're like, hey, everyone else is like rapping and like playing beautiful songs. And they're like, what are you going to do? He's like, oh, I've just got this jingle, got this theme song I'm working on. It's called Gummy Bears. Just want everyone.
He's like a scat. He's like, exactly. We are the Gummy Bears.
And then there's like crickets in the audience. And then someone stands up in the back and is like, some TV producer like,
they built a whole animated series based on that guy. Don't give up on your dreams, people.
Never give up on your dreams. I love that. I think that's a good segue into our topic today. Making it till you make it, because that sounds like that's what that guy did.
You gotta be like, I know exactly what I'm doing. No one can stray me off this path, even if people think I'm crazy.
Right. What are you doing? No. What? How do conversations work? Can we talk about that?
Okay, because I suggested this topic because I feel like, so I know that we're talking about entertainment industry, but my background, if people don't know, is I still am, but I was a certified professional life coach, and I did a lot of motivational speaking, and I did a lot of working with like executive, like high-powered people and stuff. And this is a topic that comes up a lot in self-help and like talking about stuff, especially like back in the, like a while ago.
Sure.
But this idea of like basically combating imposter syndrome, where we
Absolutely.
all feel like we're not good enough and like everybody else knows something that we don't know or whatever. And so it's like fake it till you make it. And I think there's so many people who like when I started doing comedy and started coming to the States from Canada and like meeting people, I remember meeting this one comedian who his name, I think we've talked about him before, but his name is or was Hilarious Darius. Have I mentioned this guy?
If you have, I'm glad you just mentioned it again.
Because it's a great name.
Is this his Christian name? Is this his government name? Or is this his stage name?
We shall call him Hilarious.
Hilarious.
And that goes perfectly with our last name, Darius.
Someone was like, "What can we call him, Darius? Why would we call him Darius? Darius? That would be hilarious." And they're like, "Oh, let's call him Hilarious."
Ooh. So I met this guy after I did a college gig, right? Which are notoriously like ridiculous. But
yeah.
I met him and he was like, "Oh my gosh, you were so good. I really liked your set." He gave me a business card that said Hilarious Darius. I remember it very well. Okay. And with a website and a phone number and an email address.
I ask just one and very, very important question that I feel like everyone is they're dying to know?
Oh, yes.
Was he black?
Yes.
Okay.
His name was Hilarious Darius. I feel like you can't be a white guy and pull that off.
There's some wacky names that I've seen white comedians do, but like that one felt more like it was one of ours. So I just wanted to make sure. I'm just trying to picture this guy.
This is us.
Did he also have like really big shoes?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look. Like really shiny, pointy ones.
Ooh, like gator shoes.
Yeah.
Was Hilarious Darius also a pimp?
He was like 19 years old. I would love it if he showed up with like huge gator shoes.
Jacket, just like wants like this all the time.
Like he had to have a like a lisp, you know, like Hilarious Darius.
Hilarious Darius. Hey, y'all best bring me my money. You funny.
You crazy. Let's do some comedy.
Comedy
So an agent. Got it. Okay. Good.
Oh, okay. All right. But probably better at their job.
Right. I would take that over.
Can we say that? do our reps listen to this? Nope. Okay. Anyways, Hilarious Darius. Let's get back on track.
He gives me his card and he's like, "I'm Hilarious Darius." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool. Like, nice to meet you." And we're talking about my comedy. I'm like, "How long have you been doing comedy?" And like, this is a card that says like stand-up comedian, all this stuff, right?
Right.
And I go, "How long have you been doing comedy?" And he goes, "Oh, I haven't started yet."
Okay. All right.
And so he had business cards. He had a website. He had like a personalized email address.
Right.
And like a comedy name. And I was like,
and on top of all that, comedy name. I mean, and again, in the spirit of our conversation, I feel like that's the thing. I did that when I first started because I saw other comedians doing it, having business cards.
Yeah.
Before I had
cards.
Before I had a solid 5 minutes, I had business cards.
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I did it when I was like going to like JFL or something like Just for Laughs or a festival or something, so I could like. But even then, it's like it's dumb. It's a dumb idea.
You had a reason. I just literally was cleaning out some of my stuff in storage, and I found this box like Vistaprint. What up? If you want to sponsor us, Vistaprint box of 100.
I gotten stuff from there. They're good.
I probably have only used I probably handed out 10, and I had like this whole box of 90.
I know. I have so many.
It's just like like when you buy
go condoms.
I was gonna say it's like when you buy condoms but you don't use them. It's very sad. You're like to have this full box of condoms
every day,
or this full box. Right, you're like, oh man, I really wish I knew someone I could give this business card to.
Can I tell you? I was at Just for Laughs and I did Kevin Hart's one of his like LOL gala things, and we were backstage afterwards with Lil Rel, excuse me, and we were all chatting, and like a lot of the comedians didn't go backstage, but I did, and then Kevin came back, and like his crew came back, And there was one of the guys in his
Right.
who was like super nice, and he's like, yeah, like we're gonna be doing this stuff. And it wasn't like with Kevin Hart, it was some other thing. And I was like, cool. And I was like, hey, here's my card. And he went, I don't want that. And I was like so embarrassed. I was like, of course not. That's dumb. I'm sorry. Like it was so I was so proud of these little cards. And then when he said like basically
Right.
like why? Like I was like, fair, great question.
Sure.
You know?
No, it
and
is
I
a
had,
great
like, worked
question.
so
Yeah,
hard
the
on them.
idea. Yep. You're so proud of them. You gave one to people in your family. But then like what we ended up doing is right. Then what we end up doing is like handing them to other comedians.
Yeah.
Like at least that's what we were doing. At least that's what I was doing. Be like, oh, let me just hand it. Here's my card to another comic, another person who couldn't necessarily do what a business card does, which is help you get business.
Well, because it's so silly. Because now, like, this is before the time of cell phones, right? Like, we all had cell phones,
right?
So it's like we could have just put each other's phone numbers in, but we were like, oh yes, and you like it gives you something to feel important about or something. I don't know.
Facebook existed for sure. Twitter existed for sure.
Yeah.
Instagram might have just been starting, but no, we absolutely. And now, that's the thing. Now you just ask them like, hey, are you on the gram? Are you on Instagram?
Yeah. Also, I searched Hilarious Darius and I immediately recognized his logo. So Hilarious Darius, if you're out there,
has a logo.
Yeah.
And it's connected to a microphone.
Yeah. I remember seeing this and being like, oh, wow, snap. Okay. So I don't know. Maybe now he's been doing lots of comedy. I don't know. But when I met him, he was doing the best job of faking it till you make it. Because, I mean, I went to his website, I remember, and it was kind of like, coming soon. You know what I mean? Like, he just had everything in place so that when he did the thing, it was all there. But I think sometimes people think of faking it till you make it as that. But what I always think of it is like sometimes you have to like these are all just like such bad cliches, but like feel the fear and do it anyway. Like you got to just step up to the plate. You might fail, you might do well, but you just have to do it and like do it with confidence, because if you don't, then people can pick you apart. But if you go up there and you do something with confidence, then like that's for me like faking it till you make it, which I think in this industry people do all the time. I've done it many times.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone who's really anytime someone tells you, whether it's in this industry or outside of this industry, that they're an expert, I'm like, bullshit. Like, no one's an expert.
Like unless we you're all like talking about some like particle in science where you're like, you discovered it and you've been studying it for the last 25 years, then I'm like, I'll give that to you. You're an expert on that. I don't know what that is. Nobody else really knows what it is.
You're an expert on that thing, sure.
Yeah.
Right.
But like,
but I also feel like, for the majority of us who are attempting to do something, whether we're new at it, even if we got time in, we're still learning, right? Like this idea of like, oh, I know everything. Like I'm a social media guru. So like, that's a little bit of my past. And I could hear people saying, I'm a social media expert. I'm a social media guru. And I'm like, no, you're not. This thing is changing. We don't understand how technology, we don't know what's going to look like in 5 years, let alone tomorrow. Like we're always learning. So you kind of have to step into exactly what you're saying. Step into something with confidence, lead with that. Also be humble, like, right? Like if you don't know, again, like talking about entertainment, but like, you're like, oh, I don't really know something about acting, or I don't know this thing, this technique or whatever. Like, don't lie. Don't be like, oh, I'm really good at it. But like, just be like, oh, I didn't know that, but I'm willing to learn.
Yeah. I think that like, this is, the trope is for actors, people put stuff on like their resume. It's like, I can ride a horse, sure. And then they're like, I'll just figure out how to ride a horse when it comes time to. And that's what I'm like, that's cool. But like when my first audition I ever did for acting, like I hadn't studied acting. I just sort of was like, as an adult getting into acting, and I did my first audition. And I walked into the room. They're like, great. Well, we'd love you to just slate to the camera and then we'll get started. And I was like, great. Yeah. What is slate? Like, I was like, what does that mean? Right. And for anybody who doesn't know, it just means you look at the camera, you say your name, your height, sometimes, whatever.
Right.
But like,
they ask you if you want to take your glasses off.
Yeah. And show your hands.
Hey, are you willing to shave? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like, it took me, they seemed confident with me until that happened, because I'm like, oh, you're an amateur. You don't even know the first thing.
Right.
But like, then you better like that happened one time. Right. And then the next time, nobody could tell that I wasn't an actor. or that if I had just started, if I whatever, because I came in confidently, I knew what slate was. What is slate? And but like that's the thing. It's like I got a lot of gigs that probably I shouldn't have gotten if they were looking for an experienced actor or an experienced comedian or whatever, because I was like, yeah, I can do it. Let's do it. And like you push yourself to do the thing and step up and like stretch yourself, you know?
And I think the thing that you just said, like, I think it's easy for us to say, oh, I got something that I didn't deserve, or I got something that maybe I wasn't ready for. Because I think that's something like maybe we don't realize we're doing it when we do it. Like, it's almost like, oh, I'm not as good as how someone else perceived me. But that's it. They saw you. They were like, she's the person for this job, whether they knew or not what your experience was. Like, they just were like, her. And I think a lot of times, like, again, in life, I like to say, like, I date a lot of women that I don't deserve to date. Like, when you see us on paper, people will be like, holy shit, what is she doing out with him? But when you think about it, like, no, like, these people are drawn to each other for a certain reason.
Yeah.
Or, again, like with your job, someone chose you money. Yeah, she has money. I have none. Or someone says, like, no, there's something she did in her audition, or there's something that we like about her. She was nice. She was easy. I know one of the jobs, the Verizon thing I did last year, like, I went into that room. I was tired. I was exhausted. And I just was like, let me just get through this audition. That was my energy. And like, he said, okay, give me the line. And I looked at the camera, I gave him the line. Like, I care less if I get this job. And he goes, oh my God, Jonathan, thank you so much. Thank you so much for not overdoing it or making it difficult. And then what ended up happening was they had me audition for 3 other parts in the same thing. And I ended up booking the very first one. But yeah, I didn't deserve that job. It was like the biggest commercial I've been on so far. And it was like in a hockey rink. It was like a really cool,
like, I remember
really
seeing
cool
that.
experience.
You did deserve it. And you were so good in it. But that's the thing, is like, we don't know. We always say like we don't deserve something because we think we know what everyone's looking for out of us. Right?
Exactly.
We have this perception.
I mean, I did that thing.
Yeah. And like, the truth is, we have no clue what anyone's looking for. Only they know. So if they put their trust in us, then they want us. Like, for the show, I just, we cannot mention anything because of strike, but like for the show, I just said
the show that shall not be named. Yeah.
Yeah. It was intimidating because everyone was this big star. And I kept being like, oh my gosh, like I'm like a nobody here. And I remember being so sweaty the first day and like talking to one of the other actors being like, oh man, I'm really sweaty. She's like, it's cold in here. And I was like, I know, but I'm just really nervous. But then, and I was kind of like, okay, I got to like manage my emotions, meditate, whatever. But Craig, who was the writer, showrunner, and everything, he came up to me and I did some like wild line, like right before we cut, and he was like, I love that line. Like, that's so good. More of that, And I was like, oh, okay. Like, does he mean that? Because like I can throw lines like nobody, anytime. And then he let us wildly go off script and improv and do all that stuff. But he came to me and he was like, yeah, I watched all your stand-up. He's like, he's like, I love you're funny. Like, that's what I want you to bring to the table. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been like sitting here, like I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not young enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not experienced enough. Like, I'm not cool enough. And meanwhile, the only thing I have that's different from all these other people is I'm a stand-up comedian who loves to yes and banter and be silly. And that's the only thing they wanted from me. I was like, it was so freeing because I was like, oh my gosh, all I have to do is like chill and be me. What a gift. Like, what a gift.
And I think that's important to what